It's finally happening. Van life is coming to an end. We've packed up literally everything we own, and we are driving across the country to move to Denver, Colorado. It's a 27-hour drive, but we're breaking it up with a day in Kansas City, which is nice. And a road trip means lots of reading, and I've saved some books especially for this trip that I'm excited to dive into. I made it out of Florida, finally. I finished A School for Good Mothers. It was kind of crazy. It is a dystopian speculative fiction about, like, CPS, follows a woman who gets her daughter taken away from her, and she has to attend a year-long school for good mothers. It really dives into what is considered good parenting. The main character is Chinese, and so she's unpacking a lot of what's considered good upper middle class white parenting versus what she has done. Or it kind of felt like a Handmaid's Tale, but set in a little more like current day. 4 stars. It was a weird one to finish at night. You have a long day of driving tomorrow, so we'll get started then. New audiobook. I'm reading Fantasy and Shadow of the Gods, so I'm not driving. I'll probably be reading those. Day 2, I guess technically like day 1. Day 1.5 of driving on a road trip to Denver. It is a dreary, dreary day out. We are getting a later start. I am going to, I think, read The Shadow of the Gods during the day, and then I have Piranesi on Libby on my phone, so I'll probably read that more at night if there's time for it. And then I have the Graveyard book on deck for driving, and that's audio. Gonna give that a go, get some coffee, classic, hit the road, dig into a book on a rainy day. Honestly, that sounds perfect. We have an 8-hour drive to Nashville today, and we're in Valdosta, Georgia right now. So let's get to it. Shadow of the Gods was definitely a lot gorier than I thought it would be, and it wasn't as character driven as I like my books. It was very plot driven, very much like these things are happening to the characters and they're just responding. There are some good twists of how all 3 of the stories weave together. I think if you like Game of Thrones and those type of like epic storytellings, you'd really like it though. It was really well done. Also, we just got to, well, we're in Tennessee now, and we got out of the van because we needed gas, and I went to use the bathroom, and it was so cold. So a little shock of what we're getting ourselves into. I'm reading Piranesi right now, trying to get through that. It's very philosophical, I guess. So I'm curious what the actual plot is. We'll see. I'm like 25% of the way through. I finished Piranesi last night, which was so good. It's kind of like a Truman Show crossed with the tone of C.S. Lewis's Silent Planet, with like a dash of dark academia in it. We'll say it took a good like 30% for it to actually like get intriguing. A lot of it is just like setting up the stage of what's happening. It's such a short book that once you get there, it was so intriguing. I give it a 5 stars, and now I am reading. I've started the prologue. I've heard so much about these books. It's free on Kindle Unlimited. It is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I've heard so much about this author too, and she has the same name as me, so I feel like I have to read it. I love the prologue, so I'm excited to dig into that. I'm gonna start Red Rising today too, and I still have to dig into those audiobooks. Another full day of driving. We're in Tennessee, we're going to Kansas City, but as always, first we gotta get coffee. I think I'm gonna keep reading The Serpent and the Night's Wings instead of doing Red Rising. I kind of need something a little like lighthearted. Shadow of the Gods was so gory. I know I already said that, but I just need something that's a little fun. And I think this one has like vampires, and I think it's a romance. I need some fluff. We're in Missouri. I'm like 40% of the way through right now, and it's giving like Hunger Games vibes, but it's fun, it's fast-paced, and I love like a grumbly main character who has her guard up. I don't know, it's so cliche, but I love that type of main character, so I'm enjoying it. Just a lot of driving. We still have 2.5 hours to go. Last hour and a half, we took a break at a disc golf course. I am 80% of the way through. It is so good. It's kind of like Hunger Games meets From Blood and Ash. It's definitely better written than Blood and Ash, but I feel like it kind of has the same vibes, at least plot-wise. I'm really curious how it's going to end, though. I truly I know it's a duology, so I think I know where it's going to overall end, but I'm not sure how this plot of these trials is going to end. But I'm taking a break from that because I'm driving now, and I just started, literally a few seconds into it, the Graveyard book. And y'all, why is everything so violent right now? The book I'm reading right now, there's so much killing. The book before that, there's so much killing. Graveyard book literally opens up with a murder. Granted, it is called the Graveyard book, so I guess I probably should have been expecting that. I'm just over all the blood and violence. I guess I need a cozy fantasy. Maybe that's what I'm saying. But I'm on the wait list for Legends and Latte since January from Libby, so maybe one day I'll get to read it. We are in Kansas City for the night. I got 30% of the way through the Graveyard book. I learned some things. One, it's a middle grades novel. Didn't know that. I'm not really sure what's going on, which I feel is kind of weird for being 30% of the way through. The premise is that there is a boy who gets adopted by ghosts, essentially, and is in the care of them. It's been a few adventures. I think the book follows the boy as he grows up, which I'm interested to see more of right now. He's 6. It's pretty adventurous, lighthearted. I feel like it would make a really cute mini-series or movie. I think I might try to either finish or get close to finishing The Serpent and Its Night Wings tonight, but I will be dead, so you'll get an update tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I finished, why can I even, The Serpent and Its Night and the Night Wings last night. I predicted some of the ending, but okay. Overall, it was really, it wove together really well. I feel like the characters were strong. There was really interesting character development. If you like the fantasy romance, there wasn't a ton of spice. I think this is definitely up your alley, especially if you like more of the adventure, fantastical side of that, and just really lovable characters. I think what's hard is that part of it was just kind of unbelievable, what was or wasn't said or kept. I understand how it was woven together, but I have a hard time believing with how observant our main character is that she got blindsided like that, and she was that naive to it. It does feel realistic in some ways because that happens. It's not oh my gosh, that would never happen, but I'm disappointed that it played out the way it did. It was good though. It's a really fast read. I still need to finish the Graveyard book. I haven't been driving as much as I thought I would be, so my audiobooks have kind of piled up. The Graveyard book, and then All This Could Be Different, which I hear is phenomenal. So I'm out of the digital books I want to read. So one of the things I do on Libby whenever I add something to my TBR, I go to Libby to see if they have it or not. And if they do, I tag it. I created a new tag as want to read. So I tag it there. One thing that's nice about Libby is that you can filter by what's available now. So I filtered that for them, and I downloaded Pew by Catherine Lacey. I feel like there's some books that like I hear one synopsis or one recommendation, I'm like, yep, add it. This was one of them. Apparently it's kind of like Black Mirror-y in some ways. I don't know, I've been liking a lot more of those books recently, and it's pretty short. I don't think I'll be digging into that on this road trip. I want to finish those 2 audiobooks, or finish the Graveyard book and start All This Could Be Different. I think that's going to be the move. We're in Kansas City all day. We're at a disc golf park, of course. Anthony's meeting up with someone, and then we have a friend who lives here, so we'll be meeting up with him, and then maybe driving a little tonight, maybe just chilling, not sure, so we'll see. Last night was the last night we spent in the van. It was honestly really windy and rainy, but I still feel like really sentimental about it. This is our final, we live in the van day. We're driving to Denver from Kansas City.
But first, we have to get coffee before we do our last long drive.
I finished the Graveyard book, and it was so cute. It is definitely a middle grades book, but it's almost told a bunch of different stories that culminate into the larger story, which was really cute. I definitely thought there were some good twists, and it's a really fun read, a really fun listen, honestly. Neil Gaiman is the one who narrates it, and he does such fantastic voices for all the characters, and it's so short. It was just a cute little adventure. Yesterday I had some downtime and I had my phone, and so I downloaded Pew, and it is so good so far. The premise of it is that there is someone who doesn't remember their past, their origin, their family. They just wake up randomly one day in a church in this small town. They're figuring out what to do. The writing in it is so beautiful. I've already highlighted a few things. I think this is going to be a book that I buy because it describes religion, and it just has really beautiful descriptions of, and really good insight into all of it. So it's super short, so I'm excited to dig into that more. Our final road trip day. Oh, I also started All This Could Be Different, listening to it. I only got a couple chapters in though.
We made it and we moved in. I am so excited for the new adventures having a home base will bring us. Not done traveling or reading or writing in cool places. Thanks for sticking around.